Hi, my name is Randy Dines with Sport Lockrz, and today we're going to go through the assembly of one of our Sport Lockrz units. Here we have our tools laid out. As you can see, it's very simple. There are not a lot of tools here. What we have here is a rubber mallet. This is probably one of the most important tools that you're going to use in the assembly of this locker, because we have 61 fasteners that are being put into this locker, and this particular tool is the tool you're going to use to put those in. So vitally important that you have a rubber mallet. The next thing we have here is just a power drill. A power screwdriver. Again, I think it just kind of helps speed things up a little bit, especially when you're going to put in, there are 28 screws that go into the hinge, and I think if you have one of these, it just kind of picks up the pace a little bit, makes it a little faster. The next thing we have is just a standard hammer, but as you can see, I've wrapped the hammer with duct tape, and the reason I do that is so that we don't mar the surface of the paint. So I highly recommend that if you're going to use these hammers to sort of knock down the tabs, that you make sure that it's wrapped so you're not damaging the paint in the process. And then the final thing we have is just a simple regular head screwdriver. And we use this, we put a little taper on the tip of this unit, and we use this to open all the fasteners, because I mentioned before, all the fasteners have to be open in order for this to be assembled properly. So again, you want to wrap that up and just make sure it's protected. So those are the tools that we use. If you have any questions, any comments, you certainly can get a hold of us at info@sportlockrz.com. For you that are receiving the product, this is how it's going to arrive at your home. It's going to come in two separate boxes. The larger panels obviously in this box, and the smaller panels in the smaller box. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open this up and give you a look at how the product arrives. When the product arrives at your home, it's going to be packed out inside this box. It's got plenty of foam around all sides, so it's really well protected. Each and every panel that's inside of this box is going to be protected with foam as well, to ensure that the product is not damaged. What we're going to do is we're going to open up the box, we're going to take out each of the panels, we're going to set the panels aside separately, and then I'll walk you through the steps that we want to take initially to get everything set up. All right, now we've got all of the panels out of the box and laid out on the table so we can begin the assembly of this particular unit. So what we're going to do is get the fasteners out, and I'll show you what the fasteners look like, and we'll begin to put the fasteners in each and every one of the pieces. We've taken the box that comes with all the hardware, taken that out of the box, and I just want to go through real quick what's going to come inside of each one of the boxes for Sport Lockrz. The first thing we're going to have are the fasteners. They come in a bag of 61. The next thing we've got is a nameplate for the front of the locker. We have two sets of hooks. We have a set of hooks for the back side of the locker, and we have a set of hooks for the skates, which go underneath the shelf. We've also got a soft closed hinge. We've got the feet that will come along with it, plenty of screws. The hinge assembly is also going to be in the box, and a couple of T-nuts which we use to install the feet. So we're going to go ahead and open up the bag of fasteners, and we'll get to work on putting all the fasteners in. All right, so the next step in the process is to go ahead and install the fasteners. This is the tool that we're going to use to install the fasteners. As you can see, there's a little bit of an indent in this tool, and that's designed to accept this side of the fastener. So we're going to go ahead and set the fastener in, and then we're going to take it and push it in, hear it click in, you know you're locked and ready to go. So take the fastener, set it over the top of the pocket. We're going to tap it a little bit with our rubber mallet just to kind of loosen it up a little bit, loosen up maybe some of the paint that's around the edges here. See, we get a little bit of paint coming off, which is not a problem. Then we go ahead and drop it in and hammer it in. And you'll see that the fastener it's sitting pretty well. We're going to go ahead and knock it down a little bit harder just to make sure it's tight to the wood. And now we've got a very nice fit to the wood, so we're good to go. So again, we're going to take another fastener. This time I'm going to show it to you with the tab open. We're going to open the tab, and you can see that it fits into this little cavity right here. We go ahead and we drop it in, press it down. We're all set to go. Come over here to our pocket. We're going to set it on top of the pocket, a couple of taps. Again, we're loosening up a little bit of the paint around the rim here, which is not a problem. Get it in, a couple of firm taps, and we're into the hole. Now again, you can see a bit of gap going on around here, so go ahead and push the tab down, Give it a few more hits to get it nice and snug to the wood. All right, now that we've got all the fasteners in each one of the panels, what we need to do is go around and open each one of these clips. Each of these clips needs to be open to their completely. If it's open partially, you're not going to be able to set the screw portion of this into the pocket that it goes into. So we need to make sure that each one of these is open. So you'll notice that I'm using a screwdriver here, and what I've done is I've applied some tape to the end of the screwdriver just to protect the surface of the wood. So we're going to go in and just reach underneath there and just sort of pry that up, and we're going to go around to each one of these panels and pry up all of the fasteners so they're open and ready for installation. Okay, now that we've got all of the fasteners in all of the other pieces, the next step is we're going to go ahead and put on the hinge assembly. So this is the hinge assembly, and as you can see, it closes completely one way, but does not the other way. So what we want to do is we want to take this particular hinge, and you want to set it on top of the seat. And you'll see in the seat, I should note this, that you'll see in the seat that the holes have all been pre-drilled for you. So they're all set up. It's just a matter of taking the hinge, setting it on the top of the seat. Go ahead and take one of the screws that are supplied, and we're going to go ahead and drop that right in. So what we're going to do is go around and put a screw in each one of the holes, and then we'll assemble the other portion of the seat. Here's one of the tips that I like to use when we put the rest of the seat assembly together. This is the other part of the seat assembly that's going to attach to the hinge right here. But what I like to do, makes it a little bit easier for you, is I go ahead and take some of the foam that comes in the package. And what I've done is I've created basically 4 layers of foam. And I lay this foam over the top of the seat, and I bring it up near the hinge assembly, and then I can take the next piece and I can set it right on top of the foam. And what that does is it's going to lift that panel up a little bit so that when I go to put the screws in on this side, you don't have to hold it up. You don't have to do that because the foam is actually bringing it up. When you receive this panel, all of the screw holes are going to be drilled for you. So it's just a matter of taking this panel, and again, we've got 4 layers of the foam here to kind of raise the panel up. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it up, go ahead and flip this hinge up to the back of the horizontal panel, and then we're going to align the holes so that we can go ahead and drill it in. The idea is not to drive it tight into the back of the into this board. You just want to snug it up there. You don't need to drive it in really hard. Just snug it up to the back side of the hinge, and you should be, see how we just snug it up there. That's all you need. No need to go too tight. As you can see, what we're going to do now is start the assembly process of the locker. I just wanted to give you all a quick view of how the panels, the larger panels, will come to you. As you can see that, again, the panels are wrapped in foam. We also stretch wrap the panels to make sure that the foam doesn't move anywhere. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cut off the stretch wrap, take off the foam, and we'll start the assembly process. Okay, now we're all set to start assembling the locker. So what I've got here is the bottom panel. I've got, as I mentioned before, all of the fasteners are open to make sure that we can set it inside of the holes that we have here on the unit. These are all, again, these are all pre-cut, and it's just a matter of taking and inserting the fastener into each individual hole. So if you look at the back side of this panel, this is going to be facing the floor. If you look at the bottom, what I did, each panel will come with a letter. And that letter is, there's also a sheet of parts. And the sheet of parts and the letters will correspond. So you'll know exactly where we're putting, or what we're putting where, because you can match up the letters to the actual part. The other thing that we have done is we placed a sticker to indicate that this top part, or this particular edge, needs to face towards the front of the locker. So if you look at the locker itself, this being the front of the locker and this being the back of the locker. So when we go to put this particular piece on, we need to make sure that the front of this particular face is facing the front of the locker. So what we do is we just simply take the unit and we go ahead and drop it into the holes that are already pre-drilled. As you can see, the unit drops in, it seats very nicely. then simply take the tabs and finger tighten the tabs down. We want to make sure, again, get some downward pressure coming on this panel to make sure we get as flush along the bottom as we can, and then go ahead and just finger tighten each and every one of these for right now. So we've got those nice and set from finger tighten, we're good to go. So the next step is to put on the front grill panel. So we have that here. Again, that's marked. We've got a letter on it so everybody knows which particular part that is. Got all of our fasteners open. We're going to go ahead and take that part and we're going to drop it into the holes, get it all set up. There you go, it drops right in. Now, something you have to keep in mind is that these two fasteners are designed to connect with the front for the added support. So you just simply need to align the fasteners with the holes that are already pre-drilled and go ahead and press this unit, kind of shimmy it around a little bit, press it together, and we can bring it together. Then what I do is I grab the top two panels. I grab one with my thumb and the other one with my forefinger, and I pull this as tightly together as I can right here. Then go ahead and finger tighten these down as well. Okay, as we talked about before when we looked at the parts, each one of the lockers comes equipped with two hooks that are going to go underneath the shelf. So what I want to show you here is that it's probably better off for you to go ahead and attach these hooks prior to putting the shelf in than to put the shelf in and then come back and attach the hooks. It's just a lot easier to do it this way. So what we have here is the shelf. As you can see, the shelf comes pre-drilled, so there'll be the holes drilled here and over on the other side for the hooks. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and insert those hooks. All right. Now that we've got the hooks installed, the next step is we're going to take and continue to install the parts around the lockers. So we'll go ahead and take this seat portion, and the seat with the hooks facing forward, obviously. We want to make sure the hooks are facing forward. Come around here. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and just simply drop the fastener into the holes. We get the fasteners into the holes, drop it down, a couple of taps up here on top to make sure we're snug. And then go ahead again and finger tighten these guys down. Just go ahead and finger tighten them into position. Here we have the faceplate for the shelf. This particular part is attached onto the shelf. Again, 3 fasteners here, 3 holes in the back of the faceplate. Just a matter of lining up those holes. And you go ahead and drop it right in. Right there you go. We've got it put on. So what I do is, again, I take and I hold it together, my thumb on one side, fingers on the other side, and we're going to go ahead again back here, and we're just simply going to hand tighten these down. We're going to go ahead and hand tighten those. I come down here, we're going to hand tighten this guy. Come down to the bottom, we're going to pull it in tight, and go ahead and hand tighten that one as well. Now, this unit does come with a nameplate, and the nameplate, it really is up to you whether or not you want to use the nameplate or you don't want to use it. If you'd like to use the nameplate, what we recommend is that you center it on this particular piece. I think this is probably the best place to put your nameplate. Just a quick look at the nameplate that comes along with the unit. And again, this 2 screws to install this. And what we recommend is just go ahead and placing it right in the center of that shelf plate. So it should be good to go. All right, so what we have here is the top panel that's going to go on the unit. Again, we have it labeled down here as D. That's the part number that correlates with the top. And what distinguishes the top panel are the 3 fasteners that you're going to see along the front panel here. And the reason we have those 3 is, again, we're going to have a shelf facing that's going to be attached to those 3 fasteners. So that's probably the easiest way to distinguish between the top and the bottom. So let's go ahead and install the top. Again, what we're going to do is go ahead and drop the screws into the holes. We got them into the holes. And I think as you look along the bottom edge here, this particular style is not designed to be perfectly tight. That's just not the way these are built. These are designed to give a fair amount of I mean, they're going to be fairly close, but it's not something that is going to be like fine furniture tight. So we just want everybody to be aware of the fact that if it's not perfectly seated, if it's not actually, you can't see any light in there, that's okay, because that's part of the design of this unit. So now that we have this panel in, we kind of have it down tight, we're going to go ahead again and just finger tighten this all the way across just to get it all set so we're good to go. All right, then we're going to take the front panel, as we did with the shelf, where we put the shelf panel on, we're going to go ahead and take the front panel here, and that front panel just simply pops into place again. We put that in there, we move the shelf a little bit, and certainly go ahead and get that guy on. So again, finger tighten that all the way down, and we're set to move on to the next step. Okay, so the next part in the assembly process, we're going to go ahead and put in the vertical seat support. Again, we have a letter on this particular unit so everybody knows what part it is. We're going to go ahead and insert the vertical seat support into the two holes here that we have already pre-drilled. So we go ahead and just drop those in. We get it seated down nice and tight. And once we have that seated tightly, we go ahead again and just finger tighten the back edge of this thing. We just want to finger tighten these down. Okay, so that looks good. All right, the next step is going to be, we're going to go ahead and install the seat as well. So if you look at the seat, we did put the entire seat unit together. So we have the horizontal seat support right here. And what we're going to do is just go ahead and drop that into the holes, the accommodating holes here. So an easy way to really know which side should go down or which side should go up. The side that's got this particular hole right here, that side should always face up. The other side with just the two fasteners, that's the side that's going to go into the side panel that you're working on. So just go ahead and take this piece. What I like to do is just open it up a little bit like this. I'm going to go ahead and set the fasteners right into these holes. See how we can drop it right in? We've got it dropped right in. Then if you look up here near the top of this, what I'm going to do is go ahead and insert this fastener into the little hole that receives it so we get it locked in. Again, I'm going to hold it tight with my fingers, go ahead and finger tighten that, then come back down to the bottom, a little downward pressure, and go ahead and finger tighten both of these fasteners. Okay, so we're good to go. What we're going to do now is go ahead and nail in all of the fasteners, or tighten down all of the fasteners. So what I'm using to do that is just a regular hammer. I've got some duct tape wrapped around the hammer to make sure that we don't mar the paint, but yet we still have a surface where we can get some fairly good contact with the fastener. So what I do to install or to hammer down the fasteners is, it's just really important that you make sure this fastener has been pushed down a little bit. And then you want to tap it from the back side. See how I'm tapping from the back side right here? Tap it from the back side and then just slowly work it around all the way down so it's nice and tight. If you hit the fastener square on, if you hit it square on like this, there's a good chance that you could potentially damage this fastener, and we don't want to do that. So make sure you're tapping from the back side and just keep working it around and knock it in tight. So let's go around the entire unit and we'll tap in the fasteners so we get them locked in tight. When we go to put on the back panel, these two fasteners right here are a little bit more difficult to get to. So I'll kind of explain to you how we're going to go ahead and do that, but just making you aware that those two, you don't want to forget them, and you don't want to forget the guys on the inside here, which, and again, I'll show you how we're going to get to those fasteners as we go through it. Okay, what we have here is the back panel of the unit. We're going to go ahead and install that now. Just a couple of things that I wanted to make you aware of, and that is at the top of the unit, you'll see that these holes are very, very close to the top of the unit. That's the best way to determine which side is up. I mean, you might look at this and say, well, gosh, which side is up and which side is down? Just looking at the top, because these two holes are so close to the top of the board, that's really what indicates the difference between the top and the bottom. Okay, so what we're going to do with this unit is we're going to go ahead and set the back panel on next. So to put the back panel in, what I like to do is just simply pick it up, and we go ahead and we just try to get that front fastener. See how I'm trying to get the front fastener into the hole, and then I slowly work my way down to get them all locked in. So we're working our way down here to get all of these guys locked into place. There, you just kind of heard it drop into place. So now that we've got all of these in place, what I want to do is then start from one side of the unit and work to the other to get everything locked in. So we look right on the inside here, we look right here at the shelf, and we just need to make sure that all these fasteners are aligned with the holes as we start to put it together. So we look pretty good right now. It's locked in good. Let's just go ahead and give it a few taps on the back side. get this over a little bit. There we go. Get a little tap there. There we go. Just get it. So now we're getting it all set. It's coming into play. Okay, as we go through this process, what I like to do is get the rubber mallet, because at times we're going to have to apply some strikes in the downward sort of style, just to make sure we get it nice and tight at the bottom. We also need to tap it a little bit on the back side. So we're going to tap it a little bit all the way down. Keep working our way down. There we go. Drop it into play. All right, so I've got these two panels together on the bottom. I've got the back panel in. As you can see, it's in down on the bottom. A couple of taps just to make sure we're good. Then what I want to do is I want to hold the two panels again, thumb on one and forefinger on the other to bring them together. We're going to go ahead and finger tighten this guy and go ahead and finger tighten this guy. Perfect. Now if we look inside of here, we can see that the seat has basically two clips on the back side. One down a little bit lower and the other a little bit higher. So again, what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull this together, put a little, maybe tap a little bit on the back side just to make sure it's tight, and then I'm going to finger lock the top one. Go ahead and finger lock that. And if you can reach inside and get the other one, go ahead and finger tighten that one as well. Okay, let's move on down the unit. We come down here to the other end, making sure that we've got everything locked in. Tap it together. What I'm going to do on this end again is I'm just going to make sure that I'm holding both of these items, and then right down here I'm going to finger tighten this one. Go ahead and finger tighten this one. Again, we look inside here. Pulling this closely together, I'm going to finger tighten this and this, so we're good to go. Then along the back side, what I like to do is just tap a little bit, make sure we're tight, go ahead and finger tighten. Then just kind of work your way along down here, just finger tightening this along the way. There we go. Get this guy in. All right, so we're all good. Get a couple of these guys, make sure we're in and tight. All right, so we've got the back panel on now. Next step is going to be to put the side panel on top, so we'll go ahead and do that next. Typically what I would suggest is that you have two people to put this panel on. It's not that it's terribly heavy, but I think it's probably best to have two people set it up on top. But let's go ahead and we're going to set this up on top, and then we'll slowly bring everything together. So what I want to do is I want to take it up to the top and set it down very easily. And as I mentioned before, I said all of the screws have a bit of a coating on top of them. And again, the reason we have that coating is that you might have to move this a little bit to just get it aligned with where the holes are. And that coating protects the paint from being scratched. So what we'll do now is we'll just go around and we'll align the panel with the holes. So I think if you look up inside here, you can see that what we're going to try to do is to line that side panel with all the holes. Then we'll go around and we'll tap it into each and every one of those holes. So what I like to do is start on one end again and just work my way this way. I think if you start at the top and work your way down, it probably works a little bit better. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, make sure all your fasteners are open. If your fasteners are not opened, this thing is not going to come together. You're going to have a hard time. So make sure these fasteners are open. Okay, so we've got it aligned here, and we're just going to start to tap. And as you can see, it just drops right into place. Sometimes you got to finesse a little bit, but typically we can just simply go around the unit. Here inside, we just go ahead and tap this down so we start to get the fasteners dropping in the holes. As we move down the panel here, we get these guys just dropping right in. Periodically, you'll run into a little bit of a snag, and what we need to do is again, we've got so many fasteners on the inside of the unit right here that we kind of have to make sure that we have everything aligned properly. So let me just, that looks good. Let's go ahead and take a look here in front. Again, we're just going to tap this guy into place. See how it just drops into place? All right, there we go. Get this guy to drop right into place. Again, I'm going to work my way back. All right, now we've pretty much got this side panel set in. So what we're going to do next, again, starting from one side, we're going to start from the top. I'm going to go ahead and tap this a little bit. I'm going to drive some downward pressure on this, pulling down, and then go ahead and just finger tighten these. So again, pull down, finger tighten. And what we want to do is the same thing all the way around the unit. We're just going to pull it in tight and finger tighten. And if we have any gaps, just give it a couple of taps and then go ahead and finger tighten those down. As you can kind of see, we have this portion is hanging up a little bit. This guy's down tight. So we'll just go ahead and give that a couple of taps there. Drop it in. There we go. Okay, make sure we get the front edge nice and tight. Reach inside and tighten those down. All right, now that we've got all those finger tightened, what we're going to do is go around the entire unit, much like we did along the bottom. We'll go along the entire unit and we'll tap those in with a hammer. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go around again and tap all of these in. Again, remember, start lower on these, start on the back end of it, and then just sort of work your way around. Again, we don't want you hammering directly on top of here. We want you coming in from this angle to tighten those down. So we're going to go around and just tighten every one of them down. All right, so the next step in this process is that when you get your locker, you'll see that each side of the locker is pre-drilled with 2 holes on each side. So we got 2 on one side and the other 2 holes on the other. What you're going to get in your kit is you're going to get a set of T-nuts. And the T-nuts are rectangular sort of in shape. So when they go into these particular holes, you don't want it going in this way. You want it going in along the grain of the wood, going in long way. The reason we do that is we've got a couple of small spikes here that are designed to bite into the wood and hold it into place. So what we want to do is just go ahead and take this, insert it into the hole a little bit. We're going to go ahead and we'll get it lined up a little bit here and then take a hammer, go ahead and knock it in. And we'll do the same all the way around to put all 4 of them in. Just get it in here a little bit. We'll get it squared up and just go ahead and knock it in. Okay, now that we've got all of our T-nuts into the side panels, the next thing we have is the feet that actually come with the unit. And as you can see, these are feet that are adjustable. So if you have an uneven surface and you need to adjust the cabinet up or down, you can do that with these particular feet. So just a matter of taking the foot and just go ahead and screw it into the T-nut and tighten it all the way down. And we're going to go around and do all 4 of these so we get them all in and tightened down. All right, so what we have here is the hinge, the soft closed hinge that comes with each and every Sport Lockers. I want to open up this package so you guys can get a sense of the contents that come inside the package. We'll set these things aside. So what you're going to get is the actual soft close hinge here. You get the plate that you're going to mount onto the locker unit. You get the plate, you get the hinge, and then you also get a series of screws that we use to attach all of this. And again, we have a plate that attaches to the lid of the locker. It'll attach right here to the lid, and the arm of the hinge will attach to that. So these are the things that you get along with your Sport Lockers. When your locker comes, again, there's the holes for the hardware for the soft close hinge. The holes will already be marked out for your hinge. So all you have to do is simply take this particular plate, and we want to drop the plate right on top of those holes, just like that. And as you can see, this particular lip is actually facing towards the hinge side of the locker, but this should align right up, and it's just a matter of dropping in 4 screws, and we've got that part locked in. Again, no need to over tighten. Take your screws and drop it right in. The hinge itself is just basically going to sit right on top of this particular nut. So it sits right on top like that. And then we have a little bit larger screw that we're going to take. And we're going to use that screw to simply drill right down in the center. And that's what holds our hinge in place. So now we've got the hinge installed, and we're set to go with the arm portion of this install. Again, this is the lid, the back side of the lid. And again, the holes for the fastener are going to be coming to you pre-drilled as well. I mean, here's the fastener that's going to go on. It sits in right here, and all of the holes are already pre-drilled. So it's just a matter of screwing this particular part onto the back side of the seat. Okay, so on the final step of the hinge assembly, we're going to go ahead and take the hinge, and as you can see, this particular side of the hinge, it needs to rotate around because this is really set up for a left or a right side. So what we're going to do is rotate this around so it suits our installation. So what we do is we take this particular piece and we insert it inside the hinge bracket right here. And then we go ahead and turn it downward like that. And then we're going to pull it towards us. And by pulling it towards us, it reverses this particular element right here, and we're now set up to set this into the hinge. So we can go ahead and drop that right into the hinge. We're locked in there. Then we take our screw that I was showing you before, and we just go ahead and screw that in, and we're locked in tight. So now we've got the entire assembly hooked on for the soft close hinge. Now that we have the unit pretty much fully constructed, the only thing we have left to do is to put the 3 hooks here in the back. But with the rest of the unit assembled, we can take it off of our workspace and go ahead and drop it down on the floor. So get yourself an extra set of hands. What you want to do is turn this guy over so it's laying on its back. There we go. We get it laying on its back, and then with 2 people, we go ahead and lift it off the table. And I'm going to set my end down on the floor, and then go ahead and have my partner tilt it towards us. And there we go. We've got the unit all set up. Again, soft close hinge. Works very nice. So the last step is we'll go ahead and put in the hooks on the back, and this unit is complete. All right, so the last step, or the second to the last step here in this case, is that we're going to go ahead and install the hooks on the back of the unit. The holes will come pre-drilled on the back of the unit, so it's just a matter of inserting the screw into the hole. And what I like to do is I like to just get this up here, get it right up by the hook, and go ahead and just slowly drive it in. That's good. It's a little loose, and I want it that way, at least for right now. All right, so we'll go ahead. We've got another one. We'll just go ahead and insert that. We'll tighten that guy down a little bit. Let me tighten this guy down a little bit. And we've got one more that we're going to go ahead and insert. Again, right into the back of the hole, and just tighten it in. There we go. We'll insert 3 more screws around here. We just want to make sure that we have these guys, you know, nice and firm, nice and level. And then we'll go ahead and insert the other 3 screws. Now that we've got the unit standing upright, there's a couple of fasteners that we need to tighten that we couldn't do during the assembly process. And those fasteners are going to be above, they're going to be back behind here. There are 4 of them. There's 2 along this vertical panel, and there's 2 additional ones that are along the horizontal pattern. But all 4 of them are back in this particular corner. They're back here. So again, if you reach around here, we want to go ahead and finger tighten those down. Again, just like we did with the rest of them. Just go ahead and pull those down. Make sure they're finger tight. Get those all locked in. There we go. So all 4 of those are now finger tight. What you can do is you could take a mirror and you could drop a mirror down here on the bottom of the unit. And by having a mirror down here, you can actually see up and see exactly where these fasteners are. So with the mirror down here, you can see up and see where they are. Again, like I said before, you use that hammer that's wrapped with that duct tape. And by doing that, you're going to protect the surface. So what I do is I come down inside here and I find where the fasteners are, and then I just simply tap upward, find where they are, and I just simply tap up to lock them into place. So we've got one in. We're going to go ahead and get the front two tied into place. Let me just make sure we've got one here and one here. So we'll go ahead and get this guy down on the bottom. We'll get him, get that guy locked into place. Get the next one up. We'll get that one. And these are just little taps that we're making here just to tighten down those tabs. So let me feel up there. Yep, we got two of them, three of them, and let's just get the final one into place. All right, we almost got that. Just a couple more hits, and there we are. We're good to go. We've got all four of those tied into place. It helps lock this side of the unit in, and it's something that you want to make sure you don't forget to do, because as you put all these fasteners in and then you walk around the unit, you certainly take a look at the fasteners that you can see, but you need to make sure the ones that you can't see, the guys that are underneath here, you want to make sure you get those locked in as well. So go ahead and shut the lid on this, and we'll call it complete. All right, everybody, we have the unit completely assembled. It looks great. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through a list of the tools that we use to create or to build this unit. So here we have our tools laid out. As you can see, it's very simple. There are not a lot of tools here. What we have here is a rubber mallet. This is probably one of the most important tools that you're going to use in the assembly of this locker, because we have 61 fasteners that are being put into this locker, and this particular tool is the tool you're going to use to put those in. So vitally important that you have a rubber mallet. The next thing we have here is just a power drill. A power screwdriver. Again, I think it just kind of helps speed things up a little bit, especially when you're going to put in, there are 28 screws that go into the hinge, and I think if you have one of these, it just kind of picks up the pace a little bit, makes it a little faster. The next thing we have is just a standard hammer, but as you can see, I've wrapped the hammer with duct tape, and the reason I do that is so that we don't mar the surface of the paint. So I highly recommend that if you're going to use these hammers to sort of knock down the tabs, that you make sure that it's wrapped so you're not damaging the paint in the process. And then the final thing we have is just a simple regular head screwdriver. And we use this, we put a little taper on the tip of this unit, and we use this to open all the fasteners, because I mentioned before, all the fasteners have to be open in order for this to be assembled properly. So again, you want to wrap that up and just make sure it's protected. So those are the tools that we use. If you have any questions, any comments, you certainly can get a hold of us at info@sportlockrz.com.